Sit your ass down, son.
Yeah, the King Cobra, you got a drinking problem.
Get flushed.
Hey, Snake Bones, you didn't play my qual.
I'm gonna eat your ass. Bring the heat. Jeff. Better known as the Big Boom Boss. Plant, some AV nerd.
Mark Farkas.
In the mix. All the hottest non-stop beef. Women are dumb. You're about to listen to the hottest podcast. The hottest podcast about King Cobra Javis. Snake Bones.
Daddy's hungry.
Featuring Stephanie. Oh, yeah. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So you have just suddenly come back into the fold. You appeared from nowhere on the subreddit during a very boring time in Cobra's life. This recent arc has been especially bad, and it was just so cool to see you appear and start answering questions. Was there anything that motivated you to come back and start chatting everyone up?
Because maybe part of it was a kind of distraction for me focusing on the relationship I just got out of and all the stupid stuff I dealt with. I think that was part of it.
Yeah. What did you think of the overall response from everybody? It seemed like, for the most part, everyone was being pretty nice.
Yeah, I like everyone's feedback and everyone's support, and I just need to learn to kind of ignore the people who are just saying they're wanting to me and Josh to get like a drama or whatever.
You kind of got a crash course on internet weirdos and talking to them and dealing with trolls. It was interesting because afterward you opened up the Discord and I could tell that it was just this really good-natured thing. But given the guys that were in there, you understandably had to shut it down. I'm just kind of curious about that. With the Discord, did you just want to be able to kind of meet some new people and talk and answer questions?
Yeah, that was pretty much the main thing I wanted to do.
I gotcha. I mean, it's really exciting when you can suddenly be exposed to that many people and interact with them. And let's be honest, they were all very much focused on you. Like, you have everyone's attention when you speak, which not everyone gets to experience.
It's definitely a little bit of a weird feeling from someone who wasn't like noticed at all in school. Now I have a couple thousand eyes on me.
Were you really shy when you were growing up?
Yeah, I definitely was.
Do you still kind of feel like there's some part of you that doesn't always get to come out, or that you don't always get to express yourself?
Yeah, I think from my past I built like a lot of walls and coping mechanisms, so even though now I have people that I can be open with, it's still hard for me to.
Yeah.
My coworkers give me grief all the time that I'm talk too quiet.
I have a coworker like that. It makes him really cranky because he has to repeat himself constantly. Some people are sad drunks or angry drunks. Is there any way you would describe yourself when you start drinking?
Well, as long as I'm not drinking when I'm sad, because when I do that, then I would just want to cry. But I haven't done that for a while, so.
That's good.
But usually when I drink, I'm a little bit more extroverted or talkative.
A little more comfortable when you're kind of in that state. That's good. You've been checking out some of the podcasts, which is super, super cool. I'm very flattered that you were listening and checking those out. Have you seen much of just the rest of the videos on there?
I think I've watched a couple of like your little console things.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think the last one I might have watched was that Clint message one.
Did you see, I think it was called Stephanie. Did you see that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one tripped me out. I'm like, oh my god.
It's I like to imagine that you, in a different alternate timeline where you hadn't come back into this subreddit and hadn't thought about any of this for a long time. You know how some people will Google their name and they find really weird stuff?
Yeah.
If you'd like looked up your name and found that, seen this really creepy retelling of the final stages of your relationship with Josh, and to know that some weird guy out there did this, that would really trip me up.
That's interesting to think about.
Yeah. It was a really interesting arc. I remember there were things that I either hadn't seen in a long time or was learning about, and it really did become this scary chapter at the end, especially the way he was talking. There was a bit where he kept saying that he could have easily beaten you up. It was alarming to hear him talk like that. Did you know that he was talking that way on the side?
No, I did not. So when I heard that, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That was my first initial reaction.
He would say, I would never do this and all that, but I could beat her up. It would be that easy. And it's messed up to ever talk that way.
Yeah.
The concept of those terminals, it's this idea that Josh eventually is given this opportunity to make a big sacrifice, and he will actually become everything he's ever wanted. And a big part of that is he gets to form this hellscape around Casper where he just has complete control. You're kind of in a different dimension at that point. And that's why everything looks so messed up. It's so scary. You're trying to find these tapes and documents and stuff in the hopes that you can learn enough to defeat Josh in his new state.
I like that whole idea, the way you have it going about it.
Thank you.
Sounds very interesting.
You're kind of in a new chapter of your life from the sound of things. You got out of what sounds like a pretty nasty relationship. You've got your new channel.
I have been thinking of, I think I'm just going to stay at my until I pay my car off. And
Yeah.
then once I pay my car off, I'm going to use it for a business loan, actually.
Wow. Oh, are you keeping it a secret, or do you want to kind of give us a little sneak peek at what the business idea is?
So I'm either thinking of doing like a club, because we don't have any clubs or anywhere to dance to like metal or goth or anything here in Casper. Or or if I want to play it safe, I will do like a Krispy Kreme or a Dave and Buster's.
Very nice. That's very bold. It takes a lot of courage and brains to start your own business. Most people are too timid to even begin to try that.
I have the skills and the knowledge to pull it off, hopefully.
Yeah. How much money do you think you were going to get for the loan?
I have to do some more research into it, because I haven't started a business plan yet, but because I still have a couple of years on my car.
Yeah.
But I'll probably start that. If I want to guess, maybe about 50,000,
Wow.
maybe.
Oh my goodness. Well,
That's mostly just for me thinking of like getting equipment mostly.
that is super cool that you're looking ahead and aiming big. Paranormal stuff. You believe in spirits and maybe different terms for it, but just loosely ghosts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was just reading about haunted places yesterday. I was focusing on haunted places in Japan, and I thought it was really neat. Are there any locations that stick out in your memory that you just really like to read about or talk about?
I haven't really read about much haunted places, but for a while I was like reading about like I guess they call them cryptids. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
for a little bit when I was in middle school, like Mothman and all that.
Yeah, those are neat. I'm trying to remember it. It's been a while. There was a man who had a television on his head that was leaving TVs on people's doorsteps. TV head.
Huh.
Yeah. There's an article about it. If you look up TV head, at 4:30 in the morning, a guy came to a house and put the TV there, and he had it on his head.
That is bizarre. There's something I listened to on YouTube on Corpse Husband's channel when he used to do the scary stories
Yeah.
about scary Forest Service stories about like staircases in the woods.
Oh yeah, I've seen at least one picture of that. Cause it's you'll
That
just
one was pretty cool.
yeah you'll just be out in the woods and it'll be a pretty sizable staircase that just doesn't go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
Actually, thinking of it, I wonder if we have any here in Wyoming.
Yeah. Have you seen anything really spooky out there?
Um, no. If if I did, I probably just wouldn't notice it, honestly. Supposedly where we work is haunted. Some people believe, but I
Really?
don't know if I believe that. Yeah.
What kind of stuff is there?
I know sometimes they'll be watching the cameras and like stuff will move.
Ooh. Did anything really bad happen there in the past?
I actually don't really know the history of it.
I'd ask around, get some lore.
Yeah.
Isn't there a banshee that haunts the cemetery over there?
I think I've heard that once or twice, but I haven't noticed anything.
Okay, let me see here. You had a video in the cemetery. Do you hang out over there pretty often?
Every once in a while.
That's awesome. I really like that.
Not too often.
You know, hanging out in cemeteries, that was kind of a trope with goths, is that they would hang out there. Do you identify with gothic subculture?
I think a little bit. I think like just for subculture wise, I think I'm just kind of a weirdo because
Yeah.
I like so many different things.
And Casper, is it kind of easy to be considered an outsider? Is there kind of a social norm there that it's easy to fall outside of that and just be like, oh yeah, you're not a cowboy? Or is that a big thing over there, like cowboy culture?
Maybe a little bit, but even with that, people are still accepting and will be willing to hang out with you even if you're not into the same type of things.
I think Josh once said that he either turned you bad or made you more goth. Did he kind of introduce you to any things like that? Or did he have any kind of influence on you when it comes to gothic stuff?
Not really. The goth stuff and the metal stuff, I was into that in middle school and high school, but I just wasn't really comfortable with it until I moved here.
Did anything about you really change after the relationship?
I started to get more comfortable with who I actually was.
Is there like something about you that you were kind of having trouble coming to terms with?
I guess back then it was the fact that it was okay to like dark macabre things.
Do you have any fixations or anything that you could say you're obsessed with? Like people say like, oh yeah, Caesar loves VHS tapes and old TVs. And is there anything that you can say that you're really, really into?
It would definitely be into cooking.
Cooking videos can be great.
Actually, I think my favorite like cooking show is the Good Eats one that Alton Brown does.
Oh yeah. I had a friend growing up. You would never expect it, but he was watching Alton Brown and he just became obsessed with baking. One day he called me up and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna go get a zester. You want to come with me?" And I said, "Yeah, definitely." We went to, I think it was Bed Bath and Beyond, and got a zester, and it was about God $12 or something, and it was just to kind of get the stuff off the rind from oranges, like the skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is very powerful as an ingredient. I'd never heard of a zester before that. With the subreddit, I saw it in the comments that you were excited to potentially talk about the misconception or just people kind of poking fun at you. Some people will say, "Oh yeah, she's on the spectrum or she's got autism," and I saw that you were interested in kind of talking about why that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know how they got that idea. 'Cause I've never even been diagnosed or anything like that. I think maybe they think the way I talk might be why. And
Yeah, you talk normal.
yeah, I'm glad I appear well spoken.
Yeah.
I think maybe also just the way like they're maybe going from old videos of like when videos I was with Josh. Maybe that might be it.
They throw it around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
They will say just about anybody, has autism, if there's anything unusual about them. Fortunately, I would say about 85%, they're being absolutely fine. They're on good behavior. It's just the fringe people that say really rotten stuff and don't want to have any fun. I mean, really.
Yeah.
Do you want to see the picture I've been working on so far?
Sure.
Okay. It's a little wacky, and there's
Okay.
a lot of work left to do, but it's coming pretty good. There you go.
I like that.
You like that?
Yep.
Excellent. Oh, just kind of this little indication that you are maybe a little riled up and wanting to do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was this outfit you had on a long time ago, and I think it's definitely a fan favorite. It had kind of like black stockings and then just like a black shirt. It may have had a like kitty cat eyes on there. But that's one that like people mention a whole lot. They like that one.
I don't know if I have the stockings, but I think I actually might have the skirt and like the shirt still. Very pleased that it still fits me too.
There's a specific thing that guys will be into where the stocking will meet the thigh, and there's a little like indentation or like push out from that, and you wouldn't believe how many of them love that specifically.
I can definitely believe it.
Yeah. If you had a lot of money, is there anything that you could see yourself doing?
Probably would travel and then buy a bit of land and build a house or something.
That's the dream right there. Travel? Definitely. Is there a place that you would go to in particular?
I was thinking maybe either like around the UK or Japan.
Oh, hell yeah.
Actually, for a little bit, I tried to learn Japanese, and then I got into kanji. I'm like, I get a little overwhelmed.
Well, bless you for trying. The kanji, especially, is just that is so hard to learn. Yeah, but I mean, other than that, sounds like you just be happy doing your thing. You've got all kinds of hobbies and stuff. You're good at passing the time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You mentioned that you like to draw stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see you try to get into that while you're being extra disciplined and learning languages, just to draw a little bit every day. That'd be so cool to see. Do you ever think maybe you have like a little bit of touch of ADD or anything like that?
I think I do. I actually did get diagnosed with it when I was in school, actually.
Does your mind wander a lot, even when like you're talking to people?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Did they ever try to put you on any like ADD medication?
They did when I was in elementary school, and then I think they took me off of it. A long time I was also on Prozac for my depression too.
Yeah.
But I actually haven't been on any medication for 10 or 11 years now, which I'm proud of.
Oh yeah. With depression, do you still kind of struggle with it every now and again?
Every now and again.
Yeah.
Mostly like when I'm really, really stressed out. I think since I moved though, my stress levels have gone down so much.
Are you open to talking about the way things were before you moved?
Oh yeah. Basically, I was paying most of the bills. I made the most money in the house. Helping with like my insurance and stuff like that, it would be like a secondary thing for them.
You were living with a few people, right?
Yeah, I was living with Damien and Megan and then Matt.
This was the coven.
Yeah.
Were they still kind of calling themselves that and operating that way even up until when you left?
They were trying to, but they were so wishy-washy about doing classes or doing rites and stuff like that that people would just leave because they got tired of like them not working with people's work schedule or not being consistent.
For people who are unfamiliar, would you be able to tell us what the coven was?
I guess maybe to me, now that I think about it, maybe they kind of just viewed it as like a little club. To them, I think if you would ask them, they viewed it as a way to pass down their knowledge and stuff like that.
What kind of knowledge was it?
They know a little bit about herbalism, like how to set up rites and stuff like that.
Did they have any specific core beliefs?
Well, the weird thing about that was they actually switched, I guess, belief system. When I first met them, they were into Luciferianism. and then they switched to Asatru, and now they're kind of doing this weird thing where they're doing both.
Oh,
Yeah, which is weird.
what? I think you mentioned rites and initiation. What kind of stuff would they do with that?
For the Luciferian initiation, uh, they didn't do it with Josh, but they did it with me. With the initiation, if you go, you can actually find a free little book on it. Their initiations, a lot of Luciferian stuff is sexualized, but pretty much it would be like a guided meditation that would end in sex.
There was something that I was just interested in reading about way back when. It was called Chaos Magic, and it was all about energy and believing in something so hard that it could happen. One form of energy was just kind of being in a trance and having sex or doing something sexual. So I can definitely understand how they would want to tap into that. Were there any notable members that people who watch Josh may know about?
The only one I can really think of is Matt.
Matt, shoot, I don't.
Well,
Okay, yep. I saw his Facebook just the other day.
for a while, Chris was, when he still lived here, before he moved, he was in it. But this was when they were doing the Asatru.
Okay, I know people are gonna wonder, did he get involved in any of the getting into that sexual energy?
No.
Okay,
Thank goodness.
yeah. He was supposed to be kind of a stinky Pete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely is.
Did he just kind of find himself there? Because I know he was always just kind of bumming around trying to find places to stay.
If I remember right, he moved away from Wyoming for whatever reason, then came back again. Because he didn't have a place to stay, he was staying with us. And then he moved again. But I can't remember where he moved.
Did they at any point kind of want him to leave since he, I mean, it sounds like what you were already dealing with, people not paying bills and maybe just being mildly irritating. Did they kind of encourage him to get out?
I think a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Damien would definitely, I don't want to say argue, but he would definitely yell or call him out on not showering and stuff like that.
I mean, that's not asking much to just not stink
Yeah.
up the joint. There's usually it's about not cleaning up or not pitching in money, but it's a pretty small ask to just take a bath every now and again.
Yeah.
I mean, you shared a space with him briefly then, right?
Yeah.
What did he do all day? I mean, with Josh, he would just play games all the time. Is that basically what he did?
He did have a job for a little bit, but for the most part, he would help with cleaning and whatnot. Damien and Megan's kids, Talon was living there with his girlfriend.
I guess for people's knowledge, Talon, he did appear in the first King Cobra documentary. He was in a mall. He was rapping at one point with his shirt off. I want to say that's the same guy. Did you see the first doc?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it from the clips, but I
Yeah.
haven't actually sit down and watched it.
Oh gosh, they did a great job on that. It had a really good mood to it. Did you see any of the second one?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of that one too.
The wing challenge, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I did watch actually a little bit of the first one, just from the beginning.
Yeah. I would have been angry, but you're on a phone call with him. I think you were calling from Job Corps, and
Yeah.
he reveals to you that you're in the documentary. And I would have been very sensitive to that. But have you seen that part?
No, I have not.
Really?
Yeah. I
Oh,
haven't watched that
wow.
part yet.
Yeah, you're in there. You're just kind of talking about your day and Job Corps and stuff. But yeah, you made an appearance.
Actually, if I remember, way back when I was still in Job Corps, I think they were actually supposed to call me and do an interview,
Really?
but they never. But I don't think they ever did, or they just couldn't get through because of the phone signal or something.
A lot of people have questions about Job Corps and what it is and what it's for. Would you be up for telling us about how you found yourself there and got into it?
Yeah. I went to Job Corps because I couldn't find a job where I was living in Sioux Falls. And my brother went to Job Corps and he was successful at it for the most part when he first got out and was able to find a job in culinary arts. So me and my mom talked about it and we decided, oh, I might as well give it a shot. Thankfully, when I went to Job Corps, I was able to get my driver's license and my high school diploma and my GED. And I went there for IT, but when I moved here, no, I didn't have enough experience. And the certificates that Josh has or had are expired anymore, so they don't matter.
Yeah, I know all about that. Certain things like the A plus certification and what have you, after so many years, you have to take the test again. And to do it again, uh, I think you're probably just safe with putting on your resume. And if they ask you about the certificate, you just don't have it on you. Oh, don't worry, you don't want to be in there.
'Cause- yeah.
It stinks. It's not fun. I think your choice of starting up a business and going that route, you'll be much, much happier.
Hopefully, I don't have to end up on kitchen nightmares or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you like Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah.
Yeah. You cool with answering some Josh stuff?
Yep.
All right, I appreciate it. When you and Josh were dating, something that really intrigued me was on the subreddit, you mentioned that he was handsome, especially with short hair. And this isn't just to be like, oh hey, how could you think that Josh is butt ugly? Uh Josh has mutated many times. He has looked extremely different throughout the years. And especially back then, he wasn't a bad looking guy.
Yeah.
But I think people are intrigued by what it was like when you guys started dating. Was he really just like a nice guy and funny and all that? Is there anything you remember?
I guess when we started dating, I want to call him. I want to say he was quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was funny. I guess compared to now, maybe he was a little bit more bubbly.
Oh yeah, definitely. He was much more optimistic back in the day. He still kind of kept the same attitude of how no matter how bad it is, things could be worse and that he should be grateful for what he has. But especially back then, just his overall demeanor and how he thought was very different. And I could see someone kind of admiring that in him.
Yeah.
Did you like him with really short hair, or how long were you talking about?
So I think about the length he had in his first documentary was the length
Okay.
I was talking about.
Yeah, it kind of went almost like down to his neck, that kind of medium length.
Yeah.
Did Josh seem to be doing well in Job Corps?
Mm, I think actually he was kind of doing. I don't know like how he was doing grade wise. They don't really do grades. They do I can't remember what they're called now. But it's like a task you have to complete, and then the instructor will sign them off. I think they were called like TARS or something.
Almost like a
But I
pass
think
fail kind of thing, right?
yeah, like the actual behavior and following the rules, he didn't do too well on that because they actually had a card system. Gray was like the bottom, and then it went yellow, I think, and then I think it was like green and silver and gold. The gold was like the good students, and like gray was like the bad ones.
And was he pretty gray most of the time?
Yeah.
He, God, I gotta give him credit. You know, you talked about how he was quirky. He got caught having sex with a grapefruit at one point. Did you ever hear about that?
I think he actually told me about it, and I can't remember what my initial reaction was actually.
He
I
told
think I think I just kind of passed it off. I'm like, okay, whatever. I think I kind of like almost equated it to like American Pie.
he would own up to it. I remember he's talked about how, because naturally people are going to make fun of him for doing something that's strange, but you have choices of whether to get really flustered and angry or just roll with it. From what he described, he just ran with it and laughed at himself too. And that's a really good quality to have, to own up to these things and not freak out and yell at people, because they're going to love that. It's just going to make it worse.
He used to do that a lot more when I first got with him too, as opposed to now.
He doesn't like looking bad. Appearance is really important, and he will go out of his way to hide these things and just always try to look good, which is very different from what we were talking about with the grapefruit. When he was kicked out, he said it was for smoking weed. Does that ring true, or were you around when they had to get him out of there?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
No, that's so dumb. That's really a shame, because I would have much preferred they just give him another chance and tell him to stop doing that so that he could have got a certificate or what have you.
Yeah. But he also would do stupid things. Like I think he did a video about it called the jailhouse acid.
Yeah. It was what, like toothpaste and like orange peels or something?
Yeah, and then like I think he would like let it mold or something.
Yeah. That's so stupid. He's really obsessed with just not being in his neutral state. I think there is something about his baseline that is just so uncomfortable. I think it's just straight up depression, that he is always chasing something to put him in an altered state of mind. It's really unfortunate.
It is. I feel very sorry with people who just are so uncomfortable with themselves that they have to either pretty much just use substances or abuse substances.
Any idea what's bothering him so bad?
Maybe part of it is telling him that he's like a failure. I'm kind of wondering if that might be it.
There was something that I was reading about. It's a subset of autism, and a lot of people don't know about it. It's probably not recognized by a lot of the medical community. Pathological demand avoidance. You'll be on the spectrum, but you will specifically have terrible anxiety when anyone asks you to do something for them. When you read all the different symptoms, it sounds exactly like Josh. And there's a running joke right now where they'll say, you better not brush your teeth, boy. And it's because he will do the opposite of what you ask him to do. He just hates requests. And I've actually been wanting to talk about it just in a video or something. Pathological demand avoidance. I think if it really is a thing, I think he has it.
I
Yeah.
can't see that because I have noticed the ongoing joke or the running joke. Yeah.
Did you ever see him kind of get flustered or get riled up when he was being made to do something?
I know when he would talk with his dad or when his dad would ask him to do stuff, he would get a little flustered.
It's interesting. It really does motivate him to do something when he's not supposed to do it. Just like smoking, his whole life, he's not supposed to do it, but when he turns 18, he just started going hard on it. Drinking, of course, I think part of it is just that it's this forbidden thing. He's not meant to do it, so he does it.
I think it's maybe also he's trying to do a bad boy persona.
Did you ever kind of encounter him trying to maintain a certain look or toughness with you that he of course, couldn't maintain it? It's not viable. Did you ever see him try to kind of keep up a character with you?
Actually, that reminds me of a story. We were at the sandbar, and this random drunk guy walks up as we're sitting and just asks us random questions like, "What would you do if someone was hitting on Josh or if someone was hitting on me?" He definitely had that persona when talking to that guy.
He got tough with him.
Yeah.
Did he start getting into fighting words like he was gonna mess him up or something like that?
No, he was just like the drunk guy wasn't big violent or anything. He was just like doing hypothetical questions. But Josh was still like polite throughout the whole thing
Okay.
and seated.
He can be very timid and I think nicer, like an actual good person when he's out and about outside of his YouTube videos. But He got yelled at by one of his neighbors recently, and you could really see him withdraw and be a lot more submissive when this guy was yelling at him. It's because he kept getting his DoorDash orders sent to his apartment, and the guy really let him have it. Josh, he talks a big game, but in reality, I think he's just a nice fella. He's not really that mean. I think he's kind of afraid of conflict.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel the same way.
Did you ever see Clint and Josh really get into a big fight?
Not that I can remember. They just had little bitty arguments for the most part.
I remember there was a video, and it's like in my top 10 of videos I wish were recovered, could be gotten back, but he was staying up one night drinking, and he kept thinking about how Clint gave you some bus money or something. He hated the idea of Clint making him look like he couldn't support you or help you out, and called him at like 5:30 in the morning. He woke him up and just had a big ol' argument with him, and this was all on video.
Maybe I went on pass or something because they would give you like vacation days,
Yeah.
and I went to go visit him or something. This probably was it. Yeah, but I didn't even know anything about that.
I guess you probably didn't have a lot of chances when you were at Job Corps, but when you guys were dating, would you ever watch his videos?
Actually, no, I never watched any of his videos when we were dating. When we lived together, I had no choice but to watch his videos because I was a part of the videos.
Yeah. When we first talked, you revealed something that was really funny and just added an extra dimension to things. And that was he would start a video and then stop it over and over again with you present.
Yeah.
I remember way back then, people would kind of give you a hard time because you were basically being made to just sit there, and you always looked really, really happy and pleasant. You were such a good sport because you'd still smile and just look really nice, and you really didn't look cranky at all with Josh, despite apparently having to sit through several video attempts where he doesn't really involve you. But people would just be like, yeah, Stephanie never says anything. And I think the big reason is that you didn't know if that video was even going to go live. He might just cancel it again. I couldn't be on for that long and maintain any kind of conversation if I knew that was going on.
I think that was a little bit of it, and also back then I was really honestly shy and timid.
For some reason, Josh just still doesn't have any issue with talking ad nauseum on YouTube, usually revealing very strange things about himself.
Yeah.
There's another part I imagine you didn't see in the documentary when we talk about Josh revealing way too much. He talked in depth about some of your interactions together when you were getting affectionate. There was a lot. Did you see anything of that?
No, but I think I've heard about it or read about it on the subreddit.
I figure you probably don't want to see it now. I mean, what's the point? But I was curious to know. I would be mad at him. I would find him and give him a big old slap for talking about that stuff because it's obviously very, very private. But yeah, he said some things.
I think if I had known, like, when I moved in, then yeah, I would have been mad and we probably would have had an argument. But now it's already out there, so it is what it is.
What do you think about guys wanting to make documentaries of Josh and just the general fascination? Do you understand it, or have you been kind of confused as to what this is all really about?
I definitely do understand it. I think people have a fascination because it helps them when, like, they're having a bad day or maybe they're feeling down about themselves, like they don't think they're doing anything with their lives.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sour grapes. There's a lot of, interestingly enough, a lot of addicts who are still addicted to things and recovered that really like to watch Josh. There's another side to it. There's people that oddly enough relate to him and just like to see him do things because they can empathize. They see a guy who's just really in the thick of alcoholism and for whatever reason just like to see someone else in the throes of it as well. There's genuine white knights, people who defend Josh, and think he's a real ass human being, that he's the most genuine person out there, which I think is interesting. With all kinds of people, considering that he's just some kind of strange fella who's made nearly 10 years worth of videos. He has an outrageous following. It can be confusing. I started watching him when he was still in his basement, and I liked that he was this younger kid who was really into goth subculture. He reminded me of being way younger and just being like, yeah, I want to be an edgy little kid that's into goth stuff and darkness and skulls and all that. And I could relate to it. And I enjoyed seeing him pound energy drinks. I love energy drinks, and act out and tell these stories. But at the time, I had the sense that he was still going to be able to grow up and grow out of it. I had no idea what was coming back then. You give young people a ton of leniency and leeway because, normally that's what people do. They grow out of it. But that's how I got started. And then after enough time, I just found myself still watching him. All these subplots developed. There's always weird things going on in the background, side characters. I can't stop. It's like the Truman Show, if you ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When y'all were dating and it had to be a long distance relationship, was he your first boyfriend?
He actually was my first boyfriend. Yeah, in Job Corps, I kind of dated, air quotes, some people there, but I think that was only a week because I wasn't really interested because they asked me, and I just said yeah because I figured I had nothing better to do.
I think that explains a lot. When you're first dating someone and you haven't known anything else, you're able to put up with a lot because you've never known any better. So stuff like a long distance relationship, most people won't put up with that at all. It's just no fun. I mean, you're giving it your all. It seems like you're really giving that relationship a strong effort. I think largely because he was like your first serious relationship from the sound of it.
Yeah.
He's once claimed that he has recorded you guys together being intimate. Do you remember anything about that?
I think maybe vaguely.
It's kind of weird to just whip out like an iPod and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to record this.
That or maybe I saw him like get his phone or something and put it down, and I just didn't process it at the time.
He probably didn't verbally say, hey, I'm going to record what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
guys out there, they'll take tons of pictures of their girlfriend. And if they ever break up, they're just like, yeah, I'm going to put this all over the internet. I think that's so bad. I can't stand that.
That's so. What's the word I'm looking for? Sleazy. That's
It
so
is.
sleazy.
Yeah. Fortunately, Josh has not done anything like that. He has not been able to get revenge on you besides possibly blowing up your IT certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you guys were living together, you'd mentioned that there wasn't a whole lot to do because you guys didn't have a car. Was it kind of boring having to live with him?
It was a little bit. Then I was so tired, I would mostly just, after work, I'd just sleep till like noon or even 1. And then I'd just go to work because I was in closing shifts.
Especially compared to him and Chris, that you got to get out and not spend as much time in a studio apartment, which is a challenge for anybody, no matter how well you get along. That's not easy.
First move, he had a different work schedule a little bit too. So I think he would work earlier than I would, if I remember correctly.
So you would only get so much time together.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him really burn through his money?
For the most part, when I was there, he was good about setting stuff aside for bills. But then after the bills were aside, he would want to mostly just spend it on kind of not even food, but like useless stuff like tobacco and stuff like that.
Yeah. It seems like back then, amazingly enough, he was better with his money compared to now. He is insanely bad with his money. I'm not sure how much you've heard about that, but it is awful.
Yeah, again, every once in a while I just scroll through the subreddit, so I've heard about like I think it was like the internet bill he had to pay like $50 for, but he only got 30.
Yeah.
He bought a pizza with it.
Yeah. Have you seen how much he spends on a single medium pizza?
I know it's an absurd amount.
Yeah, it's crazy. It winds up being about $50.
Oh, jeez.
He adds all these toppings to it, and then he'll get a 2 liter of soda and all these things that have insane markup on them. And I guess you throw in the delivery charge, and it becomes this absurd amount of money for one pizza. It's like a talent he has for being able to spend that much.
Yeah.
He manages to do it with medium pizzas, which is so weird. Ugh.
Oh,
He's having to find unusual ways to not be in the red lately. He sold his underwear. He has sold pieces of his carpet. He sold a wand that he signed for almost $200 recently.
I can understand why people buy, like, women's underwear.
But Josh's.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him in the infamous green cock holster?
I think I saw one picture on Reddit and I quickly passed it.
Yeah. He's talked about how giant his dong is, but when he's waggling that thing around in those green undies, he has grossly exaggerated that thing, and he talks about it nonstop. I think he's average at best.
Yeah. Yeah, he's average.
This is going to sound really weird, but for a while, if you went to CobraCraftWands.com, you would get a high-res picture of his penis.
God.
Yeah, I think he had sent it to someone at some point. There were some really strange things about that. It had unusual scars on the tip. It almost looked like someone had taken a little razor and sliced it. And then looked like it had been like a puncture wound on it. Did he ever say anything about why his thing was so scarred and mangled?
No, he never did.
Seriously, it looked like someone took a little razor and there's just like a very long, narrow slice there and like raised flesh on the end of it. It's so weird that I can remember it this vividly, but it stood out. It looked painful.
I don't know. Maybe he didn't have that when I was with him. Maybe that was a weird new thing from.
Maybe. You never know with him.
Yeah. Maybe
Uh,
the sex doll got revenge.
you know, if there had been like a little bit of shrapnel or something up inside the sex doll, if it was poorly constructed, maybe it cut him a little
Yeah.
bit. Man, there's a really funny video where Josh showed off his music to Chris and the other ZRT guy. I think he was also named Josh. And it's a really uncomfortable scene because his music is insane. It's really out there and they just don't know how to react to it. Did he ever show off his music to you?
A couple times he would like create an album and stuff with me sitting there. And I think there's actually a song he actually made for me. I think it was like Magical Girl or something like that.
Oh, it was specifically for you?
Yeah.
And what was
At
it called
least that's what
again?
he told me. I don't know. I know it had like magical in it or something.
I like the idea of it being Magical Girl because it makes me think of Sailor Moon or something like that. Do you like Sailor Moon?
I've seen a little bit of Sailor Moon, but I was really more into like Dragon Ball Z. growing
Yeah.
up.
A lot of the people I've known that grew up with it have a huge soft spot for it. It's, of course, super silly now, but
But that's definitely me with like Power Rangers.
were you a big fan back in the day?
Oh yeah.
I was too. I really liked that a lot. God, she's like a scorpion lady. She in the Japanese one is really, really sweet on the big gold one. I think he was just called Goldar. Oh my goodness, she's a cutie. Scorpina. There she is.
Oh yeah.
How are you feeling about Josh questions? Have you had enough?
No, I could probably do it. I could probably do a couple more.
Okay, I'll try to make these count. If you were to try to give him some advice, because I'm sure that despite everything, you want the best for him. Is there anything that you would offer as advice to him to try to, and he doesn't have to get a job or anything like that, but just to be happier and maybe improve his life?
Probably that it's okay to seek help, and that doesn't mean that he's broken in any way or that he's a failure in any way to ask for help.
If he were to get help, do you think it would just be counseling or something like that?
I think maybe I think counseling would be a good start for him.
Some kind of direction from someone that he will actually listen to. I think he needs a role model, but he refuses to acknowledge anybody as one. I think that would really change things if he truly looked up to somebody.
Yeah, I think actually I thought about it the other day. I think if he got into like something like D&D, he can project that onto like a character. I think would be good for him too.
Hell yeah. Kind of help him be a little more creative and just kind of put his energy into something, some kind of hobby that isn't watching terrible YouTube videos and drinking.
Yeah, I agree.
God, he watches this. I don't know who it's meant to be for, but this Terrence Pop person and Sydney Watson, YouTubers I've never heard of before.
I think I've seen a little bit of clips of him watching those. Yeah. I think it's the Terrence Pop guy. Some of the stuff he says about like political issues or something like that.
Ugh, I don't like. There's so much of that out there already. To watch Josh, watch that. It. There's nothing to be had. There's nothing good about it.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Any videos of Josh's that stand out in your memory that are either super funny to you, or is there anything he makes that you could see yourself coming back for, like cooking videos?
Maybe the cooking videos only because there's just so much stuff he does incorrectly, and that's cringy.
Yeah. Like overcooking pasta of all things.
Yeah. Like, oh. I've been debating if I wanna do like a reaction video to one of his cooking videos. 'Cause I know the
Ooh.
minute I do one though, he's gonna go on his channel and be like, do a response video.
It
I'm sure.
it would be, I'll admit it, it would be super entertaining to see that play out. And I think people have been anticipating it for a long time since you came back.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's basically, it's almost like you're going to war with someone when you make a response video like that. You know that, like you said, he's gonna probably yell some things back, might make you angry. Though now I feel like you're ascended, like you have become like a different level of maturity and perception, where even if he yelled some like really hateful things at you, I can't see you getting mad at it now.
Yeah, I don't think I would.
Yeah. God, they would love it. They would go crazy for that if you made that sort of video, though.
Yeah.
It's a tough
I
one.
know there have been a couple requests for it, for me to just respond to him in general, like react to him in general.
I admire that you haven't gone for the low-hanging fruit. I can tell that you want to make your own stuff and not just be an enemy of Josh. It would be really easy to do that and get a ton of attention and views.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you see yourself doing like a Q&A with chat and a live stream?
Yeah, I've been thinking about maybe in a couple weeks of doing a live stream and actually maybe doing a Q&A.
I think what might happen is, God, I think Josh, it might be inevitable that he's going to listen to this thing eventually.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I think we were both pretty respectful of him. Like, we didn't really throw his name in the mud. I think even if he were to hear it, he can't really get that mad at either of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it!